Good evening, and welcome to the Mamie Keith and Aline Bradley Educational Foundation Virtual College Tour, also known as Educate Our Youth. The mission of Educate Our Youth is to make college more accessible through education, mentoring, professional development, and any other means available to students by offering programs such as the ACT and SAT workshops to a college campus, assist with applying for financial aid, financial literacy, and young entrepreneurship. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Janet Keith Thompson. Our guest today is Mr. K.D. Seegars. He is the Assistant Director of Admissions at Columbia College in Columbia, South Carolina. Hello, how are you? And welcome.
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, listen, let's just get right into it. Um, when I was in high school, we made the Civil Net and the Civitan Club made a trip to Columbia College, and at that time it was all girls' school. So, can you give us some history about Columbia College?
Yeah, opened in 1854, pretty much been a historical women's college up until honestly about 2 years ago, where we
Oh,
had our first group of male students. So 2 years ago, male students could attend day classes, and then this past fall, they could actually live on campus.
okay.
So things are kind of changing.
Yes, it is. Well, let's. How what are the criteria to attend Columbia College?
Yeah, so as far as first year day students, which we classify as just like the first year student, that is going to be at least a 2.5 on the 4.0 scale. So if you have a 2.5 on the 4.0 scale, that is one of the marks that we look for. We don't have SAT or ACT requirements unless you're interested in majoring in nursing. And then
Okay,
that kind of just changes the requirements up just a little bit in general. If you're
okay.
interested in nursing, that's a partnership program that we have with Midlands Tech. So we look for a 2.75 and then specific SAT and ACT scores that go along with those.
Okay. Well, before we go any further, and my apologies, will you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is KD. That's short for Kadarius. So I am the assistant director of admissions at Columbia College. Prior to being at Columbia College, I actually worked at Francis Marion University. So was there for 3 years and then transitioned over here, and I've been here since November of 2020. Um,
Okay.
I'm a dad and a husband, and in my free time, I love to listen to new music and watch TV.
Okay. Me too. Uh, let's see. So freshmen though, you said they have a 2 point.
2.5 on the 4.0 scale.
Okay.
We do take a holistic application review process though. So let's say the student is just a little bit lower than the 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look at like different things that they were involved in, take recommendations into account, essays into account. So trying to help them any way that we can.
Okay. You mentioned watching TV. I'm a TV buff. I'm always watching TV. So, and with COVID, a lot of the colleges and universities stopped accepting, or you have to have the SAT or ACT
Mhm.
test scores. I heard on a news show that they may stop the ACT and the SAT entirely.
Mhm.
So, are y'all requiring students to have the ACT, SAT?
So we are not requiring it unless you're interested in nursing.
Oh,
Every
okay.
other major is completely test optional for nursing. If you don't have test scores, we actually classify those students as public health. So there's a complete different major entirely for those students.
I got you. So it's based on your GPA
Mhm.
primarily.
Yep.
Do you do a placement test once the freshman is accepted into?
Yes. So we have placement tests, and those are depending upon your major. So let's say if you're like science heavy major or something like that, there's a different placement test that you'll be taking there. So there's placement tests for your math, your foreign languages, and those different types of things.
Okay. Is essays required or interviews, auditions to get in?
For the entrance into the school, no. For
Okay.
scholarship purposes, yes.
Okay.
So, prime example for scholarship purposes, the admissions office awards scholarships, as well as numerous other places on campus. I'm sure we're going to get into that just a little bit.
Yeah.
But for those interviews, we invited students on campus to interview for additional funds.
All right.
So not entrance into the school, but if you want more money, best way is to get in front of somebody, honestly.
I hear you. Exactly, exactly. So when students come on, you said you have males on campus.
Mhm.
So your dormitories are they what's the term I'm looking for? Unisex or it's just a boys dorm, the
So
girls?
yeah, it is classified by the gender of the student.
Okay, okay,
So primarily because we are female heavy right now. So
okay,
it's not half or half or anything like that. It's honestly more like 7 to 1.
okay,
So
okay.
there's one residence hall that is just for the male identifying students on campus, and then the
Right.
other ones are for female.
Okay. With freshmen coming on, they have access to writing labs, and not just a freshman, but any student.
Mhm.
Is there good academic support for the students?
Yes. So we have success coaches that are in place whenever a student first gets on campus. They kind of see them through that
Okay.
process, making sure they're set up for success. We have tutors on campus. There's also a number of other things. So there's tutors for different majors. Not just the majors, but also like if you need a write help with your writing or help with science or help with Spanish or something like that. There's pretty much tutors for all of it.
Okay.
But then for if you need kind of like guidance per se,
Mhm.
like, counseling, different things like that, we have those resources available to the students as well.
And Columbia being such was the state capital, so how was the internships there for the students on campus, your juniors and seniors, or does internships start in the lower classes?
Yeah, so typically those internships are going to be for juniors and seniors. They're
Yeah.
kind of like built into the curriculum a little bit. So it's helping those students succeed, pushing them out there to get involved in the community. Um, So, prime example for the arts programs,
Mhm.
art specifically, you have to sit down one-on-one with the professor and actually go over like your capstone experience, but also
Okay.
lends its way into internships and different things as well.
Okay. So and abroad, do you study abroad?
Well,
Oh,
COVID prior, yes.
where did you go? Where did the students go?
um, Pretty much any one of the partner institutions, the UK is always popular. That's like
Yeah.
number one for any student. They want to study in London or they want to study in
Yes.
like France, somewhere like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
So is there campus facilities? Is it convenient for students and um, exactly describe the residence hall and campus life for our listeners?
Yeah. So we'll start with residence hall first. So in your suite, you do have suite mates. So you have two individuals on one side, two individuals on the other, Jack and Jill style, no community
Okay.
bathrooms or anything like that. Have to highlight that. And then for the residence halls as well, the buildings have so first year students have access to a full kitchen that is
Okay.
usually downstairs. The laundry is free for the students to use, which is really nice. So that is on the residence hall side, but then campus life side, you have a ton of different clubs and organizations that students can be involved in. You're going to see a list pretty soon of all of the different ones, but there's involvement fairs that take place the first couple of weeks of classes to get students involved, so that they're not just kind of sitting in their dorm, they're making friends and getting engaged and actually connecting with other students on campus.
Okay. So I saw something that says when a student has to apply for housing, I thought housing would be automatic.
So housing, the application process is
Yeah.
kind of what that's referring to. So
Okay.
if you live within Richland or Lexington districts, one of those, then you can opt out of housing as a first year student. If you don't
Oh,
live in one of those districts, then you're required to live on campus.
okay.
Um, and the housing application process is just a few questions that you have to answer so that they can kind of get to know a little bit more about you, opt you in for housing. And then after they do that, then they match you up with your perfect fit.
Oh, okay. So when applying for financial aid on your campus, that will cover your housing, your room and board, tuition.
Yeah. So for after a student completes their FAFSA, we actually consider them for not just federal and state aid. So
Hmm.
naturally you have your life scholarships, hope scholarships, tuition grants, and all that stuff. We also at that point are going to start reviewing them for institutional aid. That
Okay.
typically happens outside of admission. So there's a list of scholarships that are based on your GPA coming from high school that you
Right.
can be awarded. And it's like a nice little charts on our website. So if a student is high achieving, they get the higher dollar amount per year, and then it kind of works its way down. So for that's just for institutional. If a student plays a sport,
Hmm.
so we have 14 athletic teams on campus. If a student is involved in one of those, there's typically like scholarships, athletic scholarships that's awarded with it. But that will tie back into the financial aid package that they get as well. And then there's also additional funds for like honors and different things like that. So pretty much, I like to tell people everybody on campus gives some type of money. You just gotta have to ask about it sometimes, or we'll throw it at you. But
Right.
with the amount that a student typically pays out of pocket, that is on average less than 3,000 for the
Oh,
entire year.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So
So
what is
tuition,
it? What's the total cost per
yep.
year?
So 28.5 is the total for the entire year, and that includes room, board, tuition, and your books.
Okay. 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 Now, with honors, some campuses have honors residence hall for honor students.
Mhm.
Are y'all set up like that? That you would have?
We are not. So the best way to describe it, we have an honors program, and some schools have an honors college.
I
Typically,
got
with the college is where you're going to get like the housing and all that stuff, but with the
you.
program, it's more academic based and
Mhm.
like social based. So there's different components that you get in one that you don't get in another typically.
I know you mentioned nursing earlier. What programs do you offer?
Yeah. So as far as top, some of the majors on campus, they're not just the top ones.
Right.
Criminal justice is going to be a really, really popular one. Forensics is a really popular one. We're actually ranked number 6 in the entire country for forensics.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's
So
interesting.
then you have like nursing, you have biology, you have all of those general majors that a student could possibly get other places. They're just
Okay.
not going to get that Columbia College experience at other places.
Right.
Um, and then you have education is really, really popular here. You have business, which is a really like a growing field in general, but also at Columbia College as well. Psychology, as well as forensic psychology.
All
And
right.
those are just on the undergraduate level. Social
Okay.
work is another big one, and speech
Hmm.
language pathology.
Okay. What about education?
Mhm.
Okay. So, go ahead. You
Oh,
want-
I was gonna say, with education, the Department of Ed over here, you have your elementary ed, special education, middle level education, and dance education, as
Oh,
well as like art and different things like that.
okay. So, is the college friendly to students, and the students are comfortable and
Yeah.
yeah.
So not only do we have like the success coaches in place to kind of see them their way through, but we have an open door policy which
Okay.
a lot of schools will mention, but they really don't go into depth because some places
Right.
don't want you to take advantage of it. But an open door policy basically means if the door is open, feel free to walk in. Ask all the questions you got, and that just doesn't extend to the faculty here, it also extends to the students. So if you have, like, not the students, sorry, it extends to the staff. So if you have questions and you're a student, you can ask anybody, not just faculty members. So
Okay.
sometimes a student will sit in the office and they need help with the resume or
Yeah.
something like that. It's a very close knit community, so everybody's here to help everybody.
So the administrators, registrar, all your upper level officers they're easily accessible to the
Yes.
students. Okay.
Yep. If you're not just walking in, kind of getting help like that, you can set up appointments. Is really what's convenient for you, more so than what's convenient for like everybody else on campus, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Listen, are most of your classes taught by the professors or TAs?
Yep. So our professors teach.
Okay.
Professors teach all the time. So we don't really enforce the TA policy.
Oh, great. Okay. And is it lecture based or
Yep. So the typical classroom that isn't like an honors classroom is going to be more heavily lecture style. If
okay?
you That's with different things like forensics aside, though, those are going to be more hands-on, different things like that than somebody standing at the front just teaching you the material. You're going
Okay.
to learn the material, but then you're going to get a chance to actually put your hands on it and apply it. And then for like the honors classes, different things like that, it
Mhm.
feels a little bit more discussion based for some of it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you get to put your input in on it, get to put your
Yeah.
spin on it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the best classes.
yep.
They really are. Your what was I going to ask? Extracurriculars. I know you mentioned some sports. What else is going on campus?
Yep. So there's sports, there's clubs, different things that's doing things. We have sororities on campus because the male population is fairly new. There aren't any fraternities right now.
Okay.
But those are happening. There's also different events and different things that happen on campus as well. So, prime example, sometimes you may go in the caf and there's like students standing up doing karaoke, which I think is kind of funny because I didn't have the courage to do it as a student.
Yeah.
So, seeing them like interact and engage with people, they're like their friends and honestly kind of become family is a little bit funny to me. But there's food trucks that happen that come on campus, different things like that.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with Columbia, there's Kiki's Chicken and Waffles. They're always on campus, and I love it.
Oh,
So
okay.
yep. And then there's different activities and different things that other organizations that are part of the community do, as well as like our office. So, prime example, we're going to have Accepted Students Day in April, and
Okay.
that isn't just for accepted students; it's actually for the entire Columbia College community. So, the food trucks will be here, and it'll be pretty much a festival type thing happening, but it's for anybody on campus, not just for prospective students.
I hear you. So, where are you located exactly in
Yep.
Columbia?
So if you go straight down, honestly, if you start at the state capitol,
You're still on Main Street, right?
yep, go
Okay.
straight down the road, down Main Street, you're going to see us right on the right.
Right. Okay. Okay. I know where you are. I know it's been a while since I've been on that campus. I mean, it's
Hmm.
been a long time, about 50 years
Yeah.
since
Well, a
I've
lot
been on
has
that campus.
changed.
I bet it has. I bet it has. Great. So, tell me, the student safety is a concern?
It
Being
is not a concern here. Honestly, the campus cops here, I like to tell students, it's not like rent a cops like you would imagine
okay.
campus policemen being. They're actually it's like state troopers. They have
Oh,
statewide jurisdiction. It is reflect the campus police community is reflective of the demographics of students on campus as well, which is really nice. So you're going to see people that look like you, and I think we had a comment. All right. So you're going to see people that look like you and they're friendly, they're approachable, but you're also going to see them patrolling as well. And if you're
oh,
not parked where
great.
you need to be, you're going to get a ticket.
Right. Yeah. Up here. Exactly. Exactly. So, or like game times, your homecoming, things of that nature. So y'all do celebrate your homecoming like
Yep.
us? Okay.
Yep. So there's different things that happen with homecoming. They're actually building out what that's going to look like right now. So I know there have been talks of potential like step shows, different things
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that. Yep. So making it an experience for the students, not just an activity for them to do.
So you have football or basketball or both?
We do not have football. We have women's basketball, looking to add men's basketball in the future. But right now, the sports that we offer are going to be soccer, men's and women's soccer, cross country, both, as well as track and field. You have golf and swimming and volleyball, as well as women's basketball.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now I'm bouncing around a little bit, but
You're fine.
thought just ran across my mind. What is the highest amount of scholarships given from your school? to a student?
So we allow students to stack scholarships here.
Oh,
So you can stack your scholarships and everything can be paid for,
okay.
honestly. So it kind of depends on which offices we're referencing. So if you're talking about the admissions office, there may be 3 to 4 thousand that a student can get per year, and then that's renewable for the 4 years. If you're talking about institutional, that could be like 7,000, 8,000 per year. If you're
Okay.
talking about, yep. So it's really just depending on which department you're talking about. Even arts or scholarships as well. So students would come on campus and audition for those types of funds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Miss Beckman just told us where the school is located at North Main and Columbia College
Mhm.
Drive. She lives in Columbia, so she's familiar. But it's good talking to you. But I would about Columbia College. What can you what could you say that could persuade parents that's listening to consider Columbia College for their student or and the student, of course?
Yeah. So the first thing I would tell a parent or student is step foot on campus.
Mhm.
You may be looking at different schools online, but when you step foot on Columbia College's campus, you're going to feel like a part of a family. So if you're
Okay.
looking for that like that connection, that intimate feel, and for people to actually care about you, like you have to experience it for yourself.
Right.
And when you do, you're going to want to come back. You're going to want to be a part of something that feels a lot bigger than yourself. And that's how it feels at Columbia College.
Okay. And what advice would you give a first year student? You know, your first year at college, if you're not grounded
Hmm.
and well rounded, and if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
it can be a little difficult adjusting, or it could be a little hard for students to settle in, you
Hmm.
know, and to study and realize their purpose there is for an education and
Yes.
not the part. So what would you tell a freshman?
So a student that's looking at colleges, I'm going to tell them ask every question you can think of.
Okay.
Let them answer your questions. Let them find out the answers for you because that's what the admissions office is there for to help guide you in that process. But for a student that's actually in your first year, I would honestly tell them utilize a planner. Utilize a planner, utilize a calendar,
Right.
utilize your phone, and don't just set the deadline for the day that it's going to be due. Set it like a few days before so that you kind of trick yourself into doing it a little bit early. Um,
Okay. Okay, great. Just got another. Miss Beckman's daughter went to Columbia College, so she's
Go koalas.
yeah. So their natives are Conway, by the way. Well, listen, Katie, it's been a pleasure. Having you on this afternoon.
Thank you.
I will send out another invitation, you know, hopefully in another year or so, kind of like to come back because there's always, college is always ever changing.
Hmm.
Something new is going on. As I said earlier, there are really considering not using the SAT and the ACT,
Hmm.
eliminating it totally, you know, so we don't know where that's going to lead to. So once,
Hmm.
you know, when they make these different changes throughout the country at different universities and colleges, is I like to tap in and see what's going on in every campus.
Hmm.
So it's been a pleasure. I
No,
enjoyed you.
it was a pleasure for me. Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for joining me.
And if
You
you have any questions, anybody that's listening has any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Email is right there on the screen, and I'm going to get back to you as quick as I can.
okay? And you can reach Katie at kseegars at columbiasc.edu. Thank you and have a blessed evening.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.